Serial murderers may not be the first thing that comes to mind when you consider psychology. Yet, psychologists have for a long time attempted to comprehend why some individuals become serial murderers. Does a genetic element exist? Is the individual's upbringing primarily responsible for their behavior? Or is it a combination of factors that transform certain individuals into terrifying murderers? Despite the fact that each case is unique, psychologists have attempted to identify a variety of factors that may shape someone into a serial murderer. It is important to observe that serial killing has no specific cause. Hello everyone, and welcome to another video. Today we'll be looking at the most cruel people the FBI doesn't want you to know. Yeah, you heard it right. Ted Bundy, 1946 to 1989. Ted Bundy is a name that does not require you to be American or to have lived in the 1970s in order to be familiar with him. Bundy is without a doubt one of the most deranged serial murderers of all time, along with kidnappers, rapists, burglars, and necrophiles. His modus operandi included kidnapping, raping, and then dismembering his female victims. He frequently retained their heads as mementos. Prior to his execution in 1989, Bundy confessed to the abduction and murdering of at least 30 women, though this number is likely much higher. Harold Shipman, 1946 to 2004. Harold Shipman, also known as Dr. Death, is suspected of murdering 218 of his patients between 1972 and 1998. In actuality, he likely murdered far more individuals. As a practicing physician, Shipman had easy access to potential victims, allowing him to commit such a large number of murders without arousing suspicion. However, as a result of Shipman's involvement in so many patient deaths, people eventually began to suspect foul play. According to him, the majority of his victims were elderly women who died in their slumber. However, many of these women perished during the day, which puzzles some. In addition, Shipman requested an unusually large number of cremation certificates, which drew the attention of a funeral director who reported the peculiar circumstances surrounding the cremations. Shipman was eventually convicted in the year 2000, but only after a victim's daughter reported that he attempted to write a will for the victim that named him as the beneficiary. In 2004, he perished by suicide in prison. ANDREI CHIKATILO, 1936 to 1994. More than 50 young women and children were sexually assaulted, murdered, and mutilated by the Russian serial murderer ANDREI CHIKATILO between 1978 and 1990. CHIKATILO stabbed and slashed his victims to death with a dagger. The youngest victim was 9 years old. Later, CHIKATILO acknowledged that the fact that he could only achieve orgasm by stabbing women made it difficult for him to resist his strong desire to murder. CHIKATILO was known by the monikers Butcher of Rostov, Red Ripper, and Rostov Ripper. In 1994, he was executed by firing squad for 53 of the 56 brutal homicides he confessed to committing. Jeffrey Dahmer, 1960 to 1994. Without Jeffrey Dahmer, no list of the most deranged serial killers would be complete. Dahmer, also known as the Milwaukee Cannibal, was convicted of killing 17 young men over the course of 14 years. But Dahmer didn't just slaughter them. Additionally, he violated, dismembered, and occasionally consumed his victims. During his trial, Dahmer confessed that he drilled holes into the skulls of his victims in an effort to transform them into mindless sex slaves. Dahmer was pummeled to death in 1994, despite the fact that he likely would have been executed for his crimes. Albert Fish, 1870 to 1936. When a serial killer is given the monikers the Brooklyn Vampire, the Moon Maniac, the Werewolf of Wisteria, the Gray Man, and the Boogeyman, it is almost certain that he is completely insane. In the early 1900s, Fish was found guilty of raping, murdering, and cannibalizing 3 children. However, he claimed to have killed more than 100 children and even proclaimed, "I have children in every state." Fish sent a letter to the mother of one of his victims, 10-year-old Grace Budd, which is particularly deranged. The letter described how he enticed the young girl, strangled her, and then consumed her over the course of 9 days. John Wayne Gacy, 1942 to 1994. There's deranged, and then there's the kind of deranged serial murderer John Wayne Gacy exhibited. Due to his employment as Pogo the Clown at children's birthday parties and charitable events, he was dubbed Killer Clown. His profession afforded him convenient access to potential victims. Gacy was found guilty of raping, torturing, and killing 33 teenage males over the course of 6 years. He would lure them to his residence, murder them by strangulation or suffocation, and then bury them on his property. Gacy was put to death in 1994. Jack the Ripper, unidentified serial killer, 1888. Everyone may be familiar with the name Jack the Ripper, but nobody is certain of his true identity. Regardless of his or her true identity, Jack the Ripper was clearly insane. Jack the Ripper terrorized the Whitechapel area of London in 1888 by severing the throats and abdomens of at least 5 prostitutes and abandoning them for dead. He would occasionally remove the women's uterus and keep it as a type of prize. It is unlikely that Jack the Ripper's true identity will ever be discovered, but Ripperology, the study and analysis of the murders, has influenced many what-if novels and films throughout the years. Joachim KROLL, 1933 to 1991. Between 1955 and 1976, German serial killer Joachim KROLL murdered at least 14 persons, including young children. KROLL would have sex with the corpses of his victims after strangling them with his bare hands. He then would cut them up and consume them. Interestingly, KROLL was apprehended after a neighbor complained about a clogged drain. Human remains had obstructed the drains. KROLL was in the process of simmering body fragments taken from his most recent victim, 4-year-old Marion Ketter, when he was arrested. So that's all for today's video. If you enjoyed it, remember to leave a like, subscribe, and ring that bell icon so that you never miss our upcoming videos. And don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments section down below. Stay tuned, and we'll catch you in the next video.